This beautiful book was put together by one of our user, Patty, and she has published this book on Amazon. And all these illustrations were made with Neolemon. We will be putting together a flip book like this, complete with a front cover and a back cover, with scene illustrations that has multiple characters and speech bubbles. Your character looks the same on every page because these illustrations become the reference images jumping in midair. I'm going to select that and hit generate. Let's put him in a fun scene. Change the background to just type a sunny beach. Hit generate. And there you go. You can keep building on top of this, keep creating the characters in different actions, expressions. This is the most beginner-friendly process you will ever find. Same character, just new variations. Pick specific shots and moments from the story. And now, to turn it into a flip book, it's just a click over here. Let's actually build that together.
Today we are diving into this exciting topic. Imagine and illustrate children's book with AI. This workshop is the best suited for storytellers and educators. You don't need to be an AI expert to start. We will show you how easy and enjoyable the process really is. And let me introduce ourselves real fast. We are the founders of Neolemon. We are building a beginner-friendly app that creates cartoon illustrations for books and stories. And today, during this workshop, we want to share with you our process, our tips, and how to create a story illustrations with character consistency. We will dive into the live demo, and I hope you will find it insightful. Feel free to ask your questions in the chat, and I would like to invite now my co-founder, Sachin, to the stage to walk us through the process.
Hello, everyone. It's amazing to see so many of you. So thanks for joining us. Let me first show you what we are going to create today. We will be putting together a flip book like this, complete with a front cover and a back cover, with scene illustrations that has multiple characters and speech bubbles, if you like. And we will also add story text in each page, like you see here. Finally, you can share this flip book with your family and friends, and I'll show you how. I hope you all are excited for this one. Actually, I have a printed children's book here with me. This beautiful book was put together by one of our user, Patty, and she has published this book on Amazon. The book is called Rory and Tiki. And look at these beautiful illustrations that she has put together. And all these illustrations were made with Neolemon. That's amazing. And we are super proud to see what our users are creating with our app. And here's another book called Wonderfuller by Lisa. And take a look at some of these illustrations that Lisa has put together with Neolemon. Super cool. In this workshop, you will learn how to turn your story into a finished children's book with beautiful illustrations as well. And it all comes down to these 5 steps. We start by breaking down the story. Then we generate our characters and backgrounds. Further, we create new variations of our characters and backgrounds using editors. And after that, we can compose those into finished scenes, page by page, right? And finally, we assemble them into a finished book. We'll walk through this full 5-step process and we'll do the entire demo and we'll create the finished flip book. But let me take it one step at a time. So step 1 is to break down your story. To complete this step, you need to ask yourself these 3 questions. Who's in that story? Where it happens? And what each page shows? What illustrations are being shown in each page? And that's basically your characters, your backgrounds, and your scenes. So once you get this right, the rest kind of becomes easy. Step 2 is to actually generate the characters and the backgrounds. And we generate here a full body front view illustration of each character and the background separately. All right. And then we can reuse them everywhere. And that's the whole trick. Your character looks the same on every page because these illustrations become the reference images for everything that follows. And for our story, we have these four assets. This is our main character, the girl. Then we have the puppy that she's about to meet in the story. Then there is her father. And finally, the farmhouse where it all happens. And note that all of these are clean, front-facing illustrations on plain background. And there are no story images here in this step. There are no characters doing different actions and poses. That comes later. Right now, we just want the perfect reference for each story scene. Now we can move on to step 3, where we create new variations with editors whenever necessary. So if a scene needs something different, we use the editors to change the character's action, expression, or outfit, or the lighting of the background, for example. And here's what it looks like. On the top row over here, this is the same girl 3 different times. And we took her original illustration, gave her a different hairstyle. Here she has a braid, and then changed her outfit. So same character, just new variations. And below you see the same farmhouse, but now we have changed the lighting from a sunny afternoon to a nighttime. And with this one variation, now you have a bedtime scene. You need to think of how you can edit and vary each of these characters and the backgrounds to be able to create entirely new story scenes. Step 4 is to compose your scenes. We pick up the characters and the backgrounds for a scene from the previous step and describe what's actually happening in that scene. And then the scene gets built from our reference images. Then we can go ahead and add the words, text, and speech bubbles. This scene over here is exactly that. The girl, the puppy, the father, and the farmhouse. All 4 of our reference assets are here in one single image, in one single scene. So it's the same characters, same background, which we generated in the previous step. Finally, it's the step 5 where you assemble the book. All scenes come together as pages in order with front and back cover, and you get a finished picture book. What you're seeing here is a flipbook preview, and you can share it as a link with others. And that's the whole journey. So story to a finished book in these 5 steps. All right. So now let's actually build that together. I have New Lemon dashboard on the browser open. And let's jump into creating illustrations with Neolemon. All right. So for this, I'm going to click here, create new cartoon. When you do that, you are presented with 3 options. I'm going to use create new character because I want to concept a brand new character illustration. So I'm going to click here. And this is basically where you describe your character in detail with text description. You need to break down your character, for example, who they are, what are the key details that you want to have for the character, and what they are wearing. And that's going to be your character description. So I have an example over here. I'm going to copy this and add it over here. Now, you will also see 2 other text fields, action and expression and background. Let me first generate this. The best practice is to create a full body front view because this then becomes the reference for creating a story scene, right? So when you have the full front view of the character, the AI can really understand trying to create different poses, different actions, and it works so much better with consistency and proportions. And background is simple, plain white background. I'm not worried about creating any story scene, any background over here. I'm just focused on getting my character. And there you go. I have my character ready. And you can select the aspect ratio. You can also select the illustration style, which you can choose from over here. And the most popular one that most of our users use is Pixar inspired. Now, as soon as this is generated, you will see here the step 2, which is the next step. So currently I'm on Character Turbo, where you actually concept your character with text description. And the step two is to use Editor Pro. This is the selected image, and you can describe the change that needs to happen while keeping the character consistent. So I have an example over here, which is I want the character reading a book while standing with very focused expression. He is standing in a sunny summer park. And there you go. So now I have this second image where it's the same kid standing with very focused expression and he's reading a book, right? And it's a sunny summer park. So this is our first image. And this is our second image. What I want to get our focus on right now are these orange buttons that you see here on every single image that you generate. And that's the real superpower and the ease of using and creating multiple different illustrations while keeping consistency. These buttons here are designed to keep the consistency of this original character. For example, in this particular image, let's say in the next page, this is the first page of the storybook and he's focused. But on the next page, I want to show him with an amazed expression because the kid has read something in the book and now he is amazed. So how do I go about doing that? For that, I can select this edit expression feature. So when I click on it, it's going to tell me that this is the selected image. And now I can change the face expression. And you can type any text prompt over here if you have a specific expression, but most of them are here in these quick examples that you can go ahead and use. So I'm going to use the amazed face and going to click generate. And there you go. So now he is amazed after he read something in the book. Now let's try to make a different variation. Let's try to do a different action. If I want to do a completely different action, I would rather not choose this image because in this image, he's holding a book. It's blocking the entire character. So if you try to create a completely different action, it's not going to come out that well. So always the reference image needs to be chosen when it's a completely new scene or new variation that you want to create. So I can just click over here on the grid icon. I can see all the images that I've created in here. So I'll click on this. I'm going to the first image. If you have created hundreds of images, you can simply click on the grid icon, or you can even favorite it. That way, you always have it here in the favorites. All right, let me go to the original image, full body front view, plain white background. Now I'm going to click on edit action. You can change the pose or action to, you can describe the action or pose with text description, or you can use some of our quick examples. So as soon as I start typing, jumping in midair could be one of the actions. So I'm going to select that and hit generate. And there you go. So now I have the same character jumping in midair. Now let's put him in a fun scene. For example, let's say he's on a sunny beach and he's super happy, and that's why he's jumping in midair. So now I can select this image because this is the action that I want. I will click on edit background, change the background to, and I can just type a sunny beach. All right, and hit generate. And there you go. We have all our images here. So let me click on the grid view and take a look at that. And now you can imagine how you can keep building on top of this, keep creating the characters in different actions, expressions, different scenes, and you can create a single character and then create multiple variations and tell a story using these editors. So if you have one character, you can use this exact process to illustrate your whole book. And this is the most beginner-friendly process you will ever find. Imagine how simple it was to just create and then select from the orange buttons and keep creating different variations. Real quick before we keep going, if this is helping you, do me a favor and give it a like because it helps others like you find the video. And if you want more videos like this, do subscribe to our channel. The process looks different if you have many characters and you want the background to stay consistent across the scenes. Of course, in a story, there will be multiple characters and you want to build a world around it. For that, the first thing we need to do is we need to create background image reference. So we need to create a background separately and then you can build it into the story scene. Let me show you how to create the background scene. I'm on the home page again. You will see here on the left tab, there is something called as background generator, basically. So I'm going to click on that. Just like Character Turbo, where you can concept and illustrate characters, in background generator, you can concept and illustrate different backgrounds. I have a simple prompt here. I'm going to use that as an example. You can choose the aspect ratio and the style and hit generate. So this is a living room that I'm trying to illustrate. And there you go. So now we have a background scene without any character. And here as well, you can use Editor Pro and make modifications. Let's say you want to change something in the scene, or here there is an option to change the lighting, different time of the day or something like that. You will be able to do that. Of course, you can use different lighting options over here and create variations just like we did for character. Now that we have the background, let me show you how you can simply put them together, the boy and the background together, and create a scene. For that, I'm going to click here, and we will use this third option, create multi-character scenes. Or you could simply select this Story Scene Pro. They are the same thing. So I'm going to click on Story Scene Pro, and immediately you will see when you're on Story Scene Pro, there is an option to upload a character image. As it says over here, upload a full body front view image of the character, which is super important to keep consistency. And you can upload a background. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to click on select. And whatever we have already generated, you have them existing over here. So you can just select all of these we just created. But I'm going to select this full body front view on plain white background. That's one. And now I'm going to select the background that we just created over here. So now I'm going to select this. As soon as you do that, you will see that there are two labels that pop up right below. And it says here character one and background. You can either keep it this way, or you can even go ahead and name them for easy reference. I'll name it boy, and I will name this room. All right. Now, the cool thing about prompting in Story Scene Pro is in your scene description, you can exactly tag which image reference, which character, which background you're talking about. For example, I'm going to type a very simple prompt. Et boy. Now when I type et, I can select the references. Make sure you always tag in your scene description. If you just write text prompt and not tag your characters, it will not work so effectively. So here you can tell exactly what their positions are, what's really happening, and tag each character. Boy is sitting on the couch in. Now we need to tag the background at room. All right. Please keep in mind, it's very important to tag your reference images in your scene description prompts. Now I can choose the aspect ratio. I'll choose square and hit generate. So this is the simplest example of how you can bring together a character and a background and put them together and create a scene. You have learned how to create characters with Character Turbo in the previous step. You have learned how to create background scene with background generator. And now you're seeing how you can put them together in Story Scene Pro. So step 2, step 3, and step 4 of what we talked about. Story Scene Pro is a very heavy-duty model, and you will see why, because you can add multiple different things. Because of this, we need to wait around 50 seconds to a minute for the illustration to be generated. And there you go. The boy is sitting on the couch in the room. Now that you have understood these 3 steps, let's imagine you have created all your characters you need, and you have all the assets that you need. And let me show you how you can add multiple characters within Story Scene Pro and get going. But let's talk about the story itself. And I think this is where a lot of people go wrong or make mistakes. So I have a story over here. This is the example story we will work with. It's a simple short story. Your story can be different, long, depending on how many pages, what is the audience or the age of the kids that you are building the story for. This is purely text, right? The entire story. Now, what I have seen a lot of people do is they copy and paste this entire story into either Character Turbo or Scene Pro and expect all the illustrations. That simply doesn't happen. And that's exactly why it's important to follow this step-by-step process to be able to control and actually go through the creative process and be able to enjoy that process. In step one, we are breaking down the story into its characters and scenes. So let me show you that. So step one, break down your story. What I've done here is the same story has been broken down into who are the characters in the story that we have to illustrate. So that there is the girl. So you need to define in detail what is the character looking like. Now, we have done this manually based on the story scene because I think this is where you can put in a lot of thought into really bringing it to your vision. But once you have these, creating the illustrations, putting them together is a straightforward process. There is a dog in the story. I'm defining what the dog will look like. And there is a father in that story, and I'm defining what the father will look like. Additionally, we have the background. In this particular story, I have just one background where the whole story is happening. And I have defined what the background should be. This is basically a prompt to create the background. And finally, I have broken down the story into specific pages, like what page needs to have which illustration. The story might have a lot of things, but you don't need to illustrate everything in the story. You need to pick specific shots and moments from the story to be able to then bring it together and illustrate the scene for each page. And that's exactly what I've done over here. All right, once we have that, we go ahead and we create each of the characters. We create the girl, we create the dog, we create the father, full body front view, we create the background. And now we start using Story Scene Pro. So let's do that. I'm going to click on Create New Cartoon, select Create Multi-Character Scenes. Now I'm going to upload my references. If you have a character that you have already illustrated, maybe you have hand illustrated, or maybe you have created it with some other app, you can upload them. Just click over here and select the image file that you have stored on your computer. Just make sure it's full body front view. So it's a clear full body front view of the character. As you see, I have uploaded the character over here. Let me go ahead and upload the background. By the way, as soon as you do that, all of your uploads are shown here, recent uploads. So you don't have to keep uploading them every single time manually. All of them are over here. I already have the background. I'm going to select that. And now let's create the first scene of the story. I'm going to name it as Girl and Farmhouse. And this is my scene description. As you see, I have tagged over here. Let me select square and hit generate. So the prompt is girl walking through the flower field near farmhouse. She is picking wildflowers with a happy smile on a sunny day. I have tagged each of those the same name as over here, and just make sure the characters are clean and full body front view.
We have a lot of questions in the chat. I just wanted to highlight the feature that has come up in the questions quite often. If you would like to turn the photo into the Pixar character or any other style, we have a feature which is called Photo to Cartoon, and you can upload a photo and you can create a Pixar character from this photo. And next you can use this character in your books, and this way you can personalize the story. Instead of creating the character with the feature which we showcased today, Character Turbo, you will just create it with Photo to Cartoon. And next you can follow the same process as we have demoed.
Yeah, we have a YouTube video tutorial on photo to cartoon, how you can create personalized story illustrations using an actual image of a person. All right, so there we have it. We have our first scene. And this is the important part right now. So we have already created by using the reference images. But if I want to create a specific variation in this particular scene, for example, in this story, in the next page, I want to show the girl kneeling down and she is investigating something on the ground. She's found something on the ground. Now, if I want to do that, instead of prompting the whole scene again, because it's within the same scene, I can simply use Editor Pro here. So it's the same thing like in Character Turbo. All through the app, each of the images will have this option called Editor Pro so that you can easily manipulate them while keeping full consistency. I'm going to click on Editor Pro. And now this is a selected image. And I'm going to describe the change is going to be this. And I'm going to hit generate. The change is the girl walks further to the front and discovers the paw prints of a small puppy. With a curious expression, she kneels to investigate the paw prints. Keep everything else exactly the same as in original image. Keep the same art style as the original image. We have the scene, and she's kneeling down and she's investigating the paw prints. So that was our first scene, and this is the second scene. Now let's go ahead and introduce a third character. For this, you can just work within the same window. You don't have to go back to home and open a new Story Scene Pro and have a lot of tabs open. You can simply go back and you're back in Story Scene Pro. And what I'll do is I will create the scene number 4 from page 4. I'm going to select the girl. I'm going to select the background. And now I can add additional characters. So when I click add, there is character. I'm going to select that. I'm going to click here and I'm going to upload the puppy. All right. So what I'm going to now do is rename. The renaming is optional, but you have to tag the same thing, whatever the label is over here. So now I'm going to create a scene with the girl and the dog. Let me generate. The girl is standing in front of the farmhouse and smiling with excitement as dog running happily towards girl, tail wagging. In the meantime, let me show you. This is the brand new Story Scene Pro. We just launched this a couple of weeks ago. You are able to add a lot more characters over here. So the limit is, I think, up to 6 characters. So you can go ahead and keep adding. But additionally, you can also add an object. Let's say if you want to make the character hold a certain object and you have an illustration, a reference of that object, you can upload that over here. You can select object and upload that object and get going from there. Or if you want a specific illustration style, you can click on the style option and you can upload an illustration that has that specific illustration style which you want. And there you go. So we have the final image over here. And this way you can start introducing new characters. So let's keep going and introduce a third character here, which is the father. So I'm going to click add character. And I'm going to select. This is the full body front view of the father. Going to name him and change the scene description. Hit generate. We have the final illustration now over here ready. Let's do one more thing. This is for the one of the pages. I think it's a scene page number 6. I want to just create a variation of that scene where the dog is playing and he is lying on his back. For that, I'm going to click on Editor Pro because I want to make changes to this particular scene over here. I'm going to click on Editor Pro, and this is the selected image. Just make sure. I want to describe the change as the father at the farmhouse door is smiling warmly. Let me generate. While the girl plays with the dog. The dog is lying on its back, happy, while the girl tickles the dog. keep the same art style as the original image. So this way you can try, experiment, do several things. Maybe you come up with new ideas while you're doing this and you want to create a slightly different scene. There you go. This was the previous scene, and this is the new scene. So this way you can keep creating illustrations for all your pages. Now comes the part where how do you turn it into a flipbook with text and you add text on top of the illustrations as well? How do you go about doing that? For this, once we have all our illustrations, you can go back to homepage. You can go to projects over here. And in projects, you can create a new project. Let's name it Girl at the Farmhouse and create project. When you do that, you will see you're in this particular project now, Girl at the Farmhouse. And here you will see front cover and back cover. So it's asking you to add front cover and back cover, and then you add the images. Let's do the front cover right now. The best way to do that is to use Canvas. If you go to Canvas, here you can put together the illustration and add the text, and there is a lot of things that you can do over here. We have a specific tutorial, a separate tutorial of all the things that you can do. You can add shadows, you can remove background, you can easily change proportions and control the layout. I'm going to select here in the canvas size, the KDP print size square picture book, 8.5 into 8.5. It shows you guidelines over here. This is basically the margins and the trim. There shouldn't be anything important like text, which is going beyond this blue line. So everything needs to be within that blue dotted box. I'm going to add the image. Let's choose the front cover illustration. So I can just select from the recent scenes that we created. I get to see all the scenes in one place because we used the same scene generator. Let's use this one as our cover. I have the illustration here. Now I can manually resize it, or I can simply set this as background, and you have it over the entire canvas. Let's go ahead and add the title. I'm going to show you a simple example. Right over here, there are graphics. So you have speech bubbles and you have blobs. I'm going to use one of this blob. I'm just going to put it over here, and I'm going to click on Add Text. I'm going to drag it over here. I'm going to type Girl at the Make Comic Sans. Increase the size as you like. You can change the color if you like. And there you go. Now you can easily add your title, your text. If you want to add your author name, you can do that. And all of that is possible within the canvas. If you want to add speech bubbles in one of the scenes, you can open a new canvas, add the image from one of the scene. So let's take this one, can change the aspect ratio and speech bubble. Yeah, there you go. And you can do the same thing, add text and type whatever the character is saying, right? So you can choose from different options over here. For sure, we'll be adding much more optionality, a lot of other graphics that you will be able to use in the future. This is in progress and you can do wonderful things. You can go ahead and export this and save it as a PNG file. Now we go back to our projects and we click over here and we can add the front cover. I already have some done over here. So let me select this. Sorry, the front cover was this one. And now we have a front cover. For back cover, I just use the background. And now we can start adding pages to the story. So I'm going to click on this. There are two views. One is the grid view and one is the storybook view. This is the front cover over here. And this is the back cover. But I can add a page. And I need to select my illustration. Let's say I select one of this. And now we have the front cover, the page with the illustration, and the back cover. This way you can keep adding the pages and create all the illustrations over here. So you can have the easy view in grid, and you can also easily reorganize them. Right, so I'm going to add this one. Let's go ahead and add this. Let's go ahead and add this final illustration. So we have all the pages over here. This is our first scene. So let me move that over here. So page 1, page 2, page 3, page 4, page 5, and you can imagine you can keep adding and keep going. And now we can go ahead and also add our text over here. So this is exactly what I have done. I have gone ahead and created the complete book over here with all the text, the story text that I've added with all the pages. And now to turn it into a flipbook, it's just a click over here, flipbook. When I do that, you can see this entire story in a flipbook view. You can turn the pages and you will be able to also share this particular flipbook with this link. You can share this with your friends and family. Let me open it here. And they can go ahead and have the same experience of flipping through the book. That's the whole process of how you can assemble your flipbook and share it online. Let us know if you have any questions.
Can you download the flipbook as PDF? Not yet. We are working on this.
That's coming. Yeah. So that's the next thing. I think we'll have it in a week. We are testing it right now. We just want to make sure the whole thing, the whole process, and the PDF is in the correct format as well. Export PDF, the interior pages separately, and the front cover and the back cover separately. You will be able to do this within the projects. New Lemon is perfect for creating a book illustration, children's book illustration, storybook illustrations, and we have built specific features to be able to do this and to make it easy to turn your story into a final flip book or a printed book that you can actually share.